Lee is in Tallahassee, Florida. Hi, Lee. Welcome to the EntreLeadership Podcast.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Sure. What's up?
I am the owner of a private mental health counseling practice, and we do about $850,000 a year in revenue. I have 10 subcontractors that are therapists in my employ, and then I have 2 administrators. So my question is, my landlord has increased my rent and other expenses significantly and suddenly, and she refuses to send a signed lease back to me, and so I don't trust her. So my question is, should I stay where I am, rent elsewhere, or buy my own place?
Wouldn't buy my own place unless I had the cash to pay for it, do you?
No.
Okay. Then I would rent. Well, I think just like in the relationships that you're coaching your clients on, or your subcontracted counselors are coaching your clients on, the only time, our friend Henry Cloud says, the time we have a necessary ending to any relationship, whether it's a personal relationship, a romantic relationship, a marriage, a job, a business relationship, is when we lose hope that that things are going to get better. You know, so if the husband is drinking and we lose hope that he's not going to be anything but drinking, then the wife ends the marriage, right?
Right.
And so if you lose hope that this landlord is going to be reasonable in any stretch of the imagination, in terms of getting a signed lease or, being reasonable on pricing and so on, then it is time to end the relationship. It is time to leave. I'm not going to deal with something that leaves my entire business vulnerable because I can't get signed documents back. That forces me to move on. Because she could put you out of business. You said it's a she. Did I say that? Did you say that?
I did say that.
Okay. Yeah, she could put you out of business by, giving you 30 days notice, and then you're going to spend all your time running around trying to find a place, right? Instead of you being in control of the calendar on this exit. Now, when she increased the rents and the expenses associated with the renting this space, are you now feel like you're being charged more than market, or you had a deal before?
Well, I did have a deal before, and what she's done is now make it a triple net lease, which I did not have before. Mm-hmm. I've been there probably 20 years. Mm-hmm. She raised my rent 50%, mm-hmm. and then added the expenses of the real estate and the CAM costs.
Yeah, net. When everything's said and done, is she trying to charge you more than you can go rent something else for?
Well, I'm paying about $3 a square foot more where I am now than things that are available, but there's not much inventory. And there would have to be some build-out costs if I went somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Well, generally there is some TI, tenant improvement, that's associated with signing a 3 or a 5 year lease. I own properties like that, and as the landlord, I generally provide most of, if not all of, the tenant build-out. What kind of tenant build-out do you need? Offices for counseling?
Yes, offices for counseling. The person that we've talked to that's in our area, he has nothing on the second floor with walls. And he said he would give us about a third towards the build-out. But everything else we've looked at, people have said in commercial real estate, like you, that he should do most or all of the build-out.
Yeah, so you need to find a different one. You still haven't found it.
No.
When both of your options suck, it means you don't have enough options.
It's right. That's why I'm hoping you have some brilliant idea.
No, more options. I'm going to keep shopping. I'm going to find something else. I'm going to think differently. Because basically you're saying that your current landlord is, when you pay all of the triple net expenses and the rent, then you're paying way more than market. She's lost her mind.
Yes, she has. She's had somebody like talking in her ear because she's never been like this.
Well, I don't know where she got crazy, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, I don't want to sign a lease. I'm glad she hasn't sent one because the price is too high.
Right.
You wouldn't want to agree to these prices, would you?
Well, I did graduate the rent so that I gave myself 6 months to get to the double. She originally gave me 3 weeks. So I will be paying the double rent in February. And then she went back on her word when she said I wouldn't have to start paying the real estate taxes until 2024. And then she went back and said, no, pay them in 2023. So that's the part of that I
You don't have
trust.
anything in writing now.
Well, we do. She sent over a lease that didn't have all the right information. So I had my attorney fix the information and we sent it over signed, and she never signed it back.
But you do not have a written agreement that both of you have signed.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you don't have a lease.
Yeah. Pretty much.
You're not obligated at all. You can walk.
Yeah, but I have no place to go.
You need to go find a place to go.
That's what we're looking for. We've looked at homes that maybe we could, turn into offices. I've looked at a synagogue that's about 2 blocks from where I am now, which is huge, but I think God can do anything. So, nothing is too big to ask for. So we're trying to think out of the box.
Yeah, Tallahassee's big enough that you should be able to find a commercial space to hold 10 people.
Yeah, should is the operative word.
Yeah, offices are, it's doable. Now, and the good news is that you're a destination site, meaning that your customers are not coming to you because they saw the sign and decided to stop in for counseling on impulse, right? So you're they're going to come find you because they have an appointment and they got some kind of dissonance, some kind of anxiety that they need some help with. So they're going to find you. And the faster you can find something that is reasonably priced, the faster you can have a life-changing conversation with your old landlord. It is possible that her brain will grow back when presented with the option of her property being empty.
Yes.
It's possible. I'm not going to guarantee it.
Right.
It won't in the current status, because currently she thinks you need her.
Right.
When you no longer need her and she needs you, well, now the conversation changes.
Yes.
So we leased a building, many years ago, 15 years ago. And the guy leasing the building didn't want to spend a dime on TI. I did have the money to do the tenant improvement. And I went to him and said, okay, since you're not furnishing any TI, here's the rent on 3 other properties in the neighborhood that are furnishing $200,000 of TI that you're not furnishing. And their square foot price is cheaper than yours, and they're furnishing TI. And their building's not kind of old and tired like yours is. Mm-hmm. So if you got an old, tired building and you want to compete with these numbers and you're me, what would you do? And he goes, well, I think I'm overpriced. And I said, well, I was trying to tell you that, but here's the facts. Yeah. I'm not trying to just negotiate with you for the sake of negotiating. I'm trying to explain to you that, the market rate on this, if I drop $300K of my money in here for a tenant improvement, is going to be a per square foot rate that's 80% of these other per square foot rates, right?
Right.
And he said, well, that's logical. So I rented it. And I bought it and I rented it at 80%. But he had it on the market, tried to compete per square foot with everybody that was providing tenant improvements and had nicer buildings. So we went in and shined up the old tired place and made it nice and ended up buying it years later. And we were in it for, 15 years, 14 years or something. We ran our offices out of there. I still own the building. It's a great building. But the way I negotiated that deal was I found other options and sat down and put them right in front of him and just said, what would you do? Mm-hmm. And he's faced with, well, I can't, you're not going to ask me to be illogical, are you? If you want me to be illogical, you're confused because I'm not marrying this. It's a building.
Right.
There's no illogical about it. I'm not in love. It's a building, right? And so this is how the negotiation with your current landlord sounds. after you
Yeah.
get this. You don't have to be quite as caustic and sarcastic as me because it's not your style. You're nicer than me. But you could sit down and just say, look, I found these 3 other things. Based on the current situation, I'm afraid I need to make a move. I think you're telling me you want me to leave because you're telling me that with a high price and erratic business practice of not getting me a lease. You've changed your word. You promised me one thing, then you took back on that. The price increases are not logical. They're over the marketplace. And here's how I know that. Here's what the marketplace, I can go rent this other thing for X, and you're wanting Y. Why would I do that? Why would I stay? And she's going to say, well, my friend, well, you just tell your friend to rent the space then. Because I'm not going to be here. And
So
that's the opportunity. But right now you're negotiating from against mythology.
Yes.
And also, you're in the business you're in, and I have worked with folks in similar situations over the years for 30 years. I'm just sitting here right now off the top of my head. I'm going to ask you as a counselor, is something going on with this woman in her personal life? Something's weird, right?
Yes.
Something's broken. It's not just somebody in her ear. Something slipped. Because It's not been her pattern up until this year.
That's right. And I think a lot of it is her displaced anger. She's really angry with herself because she has been, hasn't raised the rent for a while, and now she's like drinking out of a fire hose to me. Could be. So something did happen for sure.
It could be. But something, she could be hurting financially in another area, and it's caused her to thrash around here rather than do this smoothly. Sometimes when people jump around on money stuff back and forth like this in a negotiation, change their deal, go back and forth, it's because they're desperate. Like I built, when I was a kid and 22 years old, we were running, I worked for a home builder that did custom homes. And the people that were the hardest to work with were the broke ones.
Yep.
The people who had a lot of money were erratic, changed their minds 63 times, and everything was somebody else's fault.
Right.
And it kind of smells like something like that's going on.
Could be.
Yeah. One way to flesh it out, you need better options, though. You got some work to do. You got some shoe leather. Whoever you've been talking to on real estate has not done the job yet. They've not helped you find what you need. You've got to go find more options. And you're just going to get out there and drive around, look for rent signs. You're going to look at an empty building, look it up on the tax record, see who owns it, and calls them, go, hey, why is your building empty? Do you want to rent it? You're going to scratch and claw and turn over rocks till something runs out. You need some other options. And either God's going to give you an excellent place to move or a great negotiating tool to get your landlord to behave, one of the two. This is the EntreLeadership Podcast.